Hey there, YouTube. Here to do another little video where I'm going to open up some Frog Morton Cellar for the first time ever. That's right. I have never had Frog Morton Cellar, nor have I had any McClelland blends. So I'm just going to invite you on this interesting experience where I finally get to try one. Now, as I mentioned on Twitter, this is my first, very possibly my last, McClelland blend. I mean, it just depends on what else I might stumble across in my traying and, searching. Who knows? But for the time being, this is probably the only one I'm going to get. Found this one on eBay. It wasn't cheap. But, I mean, well, it sounds stupid to say that you can't put a price on an experience, but it was an experience I wanted to have. I wanted to know what the McClelland blends were like, and whether I like it or not, just wanted to know. Just wanted to kind of have, okay, yes, I've been there, I've tasted that, I have some, I get it. This was an interesting one for me because Mike McNeil there was a little video where he was at the Chicagoland Pipe Show 2011 or 2014, something like that. And he was talking about how difficult it was to get the whiskey flavor kind of infused in here, and how he had to end up, resorting to this thing where he chopped up whiskey barrel cubes, which is funny because they, according to the blend here, the package, which I'll go ahead and read now, Frog Morton's Cellar pipe tobacco, which I just want to point out, a lot of people know, okay, there's a frog on it, and there's a frog on all the Frog Mortons. A couple of things some people may or may not know. First of all, his wife, who he calls his boss, he used to say that McClelland's was hers. He just works for her. He was quite a character. He's a really funny guy. But she paints all of these interesting little artistic covers that they have, and she created this series, Frog Morton. There are a few things kind of behind it, but one thing that I should point out is that it's technically considered to be part of their Lord of the Rings series, their Tolkien, homage series, because Frog Morton was, I believe it was a location in the Shire or something. It was a location somewhere. It's mentioned somewhere in Lord of the Rings. And so this would technically, you'd consider it up alongside, I know that there's oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. There's a blend that I've actually found on the shelf around here. Not Rivendell, but it's similar kind of word. Anyway, somebody in the comments maybe knows what I'm talking about. It's another one of the Lord of the Rings blends that kind of harkens back to Tolkien, and I've seen it on the shelf. They still have it at a local tobacconist, but honestly, the reviews are not great on it. It seems to be one of the few McClelland blends that doesn't have great reviews, so I don't know about that. I've thought about maybe getting it, but I don't know. So Frog Morton's Cellar pipe tobacco. Frog Morton put barrel stove cubes in this mellow stave aged. Is it stove cubes or stave cubes? I think it's stave cubes. In this mellow stave aged Latakia blend, both in casks and cans, to infuse it with a unique whiskey character, at once dedicated and rich. At once delicate and rich. He considers this skillfully crafted, beautifully balanced mixture to be the stellar achievement of his well-stocked cellar. He's quite a frog. And here on the front, I believe Frog Morton was actually designed, sort of an homage specifically to someone that he knew. maybe someone in the pipe tobacco community. I can't remember the story or where I heard it, but again, if anyone knows more about the character of Frog Morton and kind of where he came from, please drop that in the comments, because that would be interesting. A mellow, fragrant Latakia blend, aged with stave cubes cut from barrels used to mature and flavor Frog Morton's own special whiskeys. It's funny that it says that, because he actually mentioned at a Chicagoland pipe show that he was like sawing up barrels of whiskey that he can't reveal, you know, what company the whiskey is from, or he'd have lawyers be trying to shoot me before I got out of the building, something along those lines. So I think it's gonna remain a mystery what whiskey that is. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this. We're gonna get probably a nose full of that whiskey barrel 10 note. Yep. Yep. It's definitely a whiskey barrel 10 note. It'd be hilarious if this was just like full of mold. Like, no, it would be hilarious. Wow. I mean, some people might be like, "Oh my God, you're opening it," but you know what? Tobacco is blended to be smoked. This, by the way, appears to be from 4/7/2017, so it's almost a year and a half of age on it. So that's cool. And there it is. Get it kind of visible here. That is the stove cube, the whiskey barrel cube, inside the blend, and there it is. There's the side that had the whiskey. Yep, that's a strong flavor there, a strong odor. And you know what? Give me a second, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually jar this up. Jar it up. I think it's important to try to capture that flavor and keep it contained, especially when it comes to this cube and the whiskey kind of essence. I don't know if people really do that, keep that in their jar, but I am. I'm going to do it. Why not? Why not? All right. I actually find these tins to be harder to get into these things than anything else. Might as well just go ahead and use my tray. So I'll just dump it in here, and any extra will end up in my tray. This is the Dollar Tree little pan and vegetable chopper method that I use. Okay, so the cube, the whiskey barrel cube, is here at the bottom. Let's see how that continues to add to the flavor. 10 note. Wow. I mean, it's rich. It's really rich. I definitely kind of I sense that alcohol sort of casing, you know, sort of. Well, I don't even know if you would call it casing when it's literally just the essence from the cube, but that alcohol smell, yeah, strong. Let's see. I'm using filters these days. This is something I've been going back and forth on, using filters. I just did an unboxing. I think I forgot to mention that I got this pack of filters, which I'm going to go ahead and talk about because finding filters is difficult. Well, here, apparently, like in Germany, apparently, everybody uses 9mm filters. Here, it appears that our pipes are more commonly 6mm filters. Certainly, the Graybo pipe that I've got here is a 6mm, and you can get Medico and Graybo brand paper filters. You know, they're not too bad. They're like $2 something. Oh, actually, this is empty. They're like $2 something, I think, for a package of 10. You know, but they're not cheap either. And then there's balsa wood filters that can be kind of expensive. I've seen balsa wood filters, you know, 10 or 20 for like too much money, honestly. But I just noticed, I just found this. Savinelli, this is Savinelli brand, 1876, balsa system. This is 100 balsa filters for $10. So that's a dime a filter. Yeah. Sure, I'll do that all day. That's cheaper than these paper filters. And I have, from what I've kind of experienced so far, paper filters are okay, but I feel like balsa filters lend to an even drier smoke and do even less to disrupt the flavor than the paper. So I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of the balsa filters. I think they're great, and I hadn't really considered them too much because I thought they were actually kind of prohibitively expensive, like kind of a luxury item. They should be super cheap, but these are in fact super cheap, and they work great. You just kind of slide them into the hole there, and there you go. Done and done. And you'll notice after, I mean, you get one smoke and you're done. It's a very, very spongy, soft wood. I mean, if you know balsa wood, it's used in arts and crafts a lot. And the thing about balsa wood is that it absorbs moisture, and so you get a very dry smoke. Now, I know I have seen so much debate over whether or not to use filters. You know, does it detract from the flavor? I have smoked on occasion and found that it did not, for me, detract from the flavor at all. And there have been other times that I thought maybe it was detracting from the flavor. And now, I'm not entirely sure if that was the filter that was detracting from the flavor in those cases, or if it was something else. Maybe, you know, maybe it was too moist. Maybe I hadn't dried it out enough. Because that is one thing I have found detracts from the flavor. I find that if it's too moist, it gets steamy, and I don't taste much. I get a big puff of steam, not much flavor. When it's drier, you know, when it's not crispy, but it's drier, I just get a much richer smoke that's just pure flavor and little or no steam. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop a little bit of this up. This is a pretty sloppy method here. I think they call this the old man method, you know, dip the pipe just in there and scoop it up, but it doesn't matter that much. Kind of use gravity to get it down there. Nice and even. It's a little fluffy. I mean, I don't know why I'm doing like a normal review. It's not like you can just go on to smokingpipes.com and order this right now. This is more, you know, this is less like blend recommendations or whatever than it is my experience for the first time trying a blend that is somewhat legendary in its own time, or was legendary in its own time, and now has very recently ceased to exist. And I'm really excited. Hard to confuse that with any other tobacco. Okay. I am going to label it. Actually, I have a printed label I'll be cutting out and putting on there. check this out. You know what? I've been using matches lately, as opposed to lighters with lighter fluid, and I'm finding this really helps to keep the flavor. Wow, very rich, no bite, 0 bite. Now, I'm using a filter. Maybe that helps. I mean, it should help. But smooth. Incredible kind of back note. This very serious kind of flavorful sort of, I want to say, you know, it's the alcohol in the background. It came pretty moist. Pretty moist. Wow. Well, this is just making me sad that this is no longer around. This is delicious. I do have some thoughts, though. I have some thoughts right off the bat. So to me, this is a very. There's a little bit of sweet, you know, kind of the alcohol, sort of whiskey flavor on top, but mostly, and I say on top, I should say in the background, because it really isn't a topping at all. But mostly, this is a savory, blend. I'm not being hit in the face with a lot of Kia. I taste a lot of Kia, but it's aged, it's matured, it's smooth, it's blended in with the flavors of everything else, which really means it's lost a bit of its potency. But it's also taken on, I think, some of the characteristics of the other tobaccos. And it ends up not being a lot of Kia bomb at all. At all. But delivering this rich, vaguely Latakia, or I should say smoothly Latakia flavor. It's a smooth Latakia flavor. It's not Nightcap. It's not Vintage Syrian. It's a smooth, mature, you know, Latakia with a bit of alcohol, sharpness, bit of alcohol overtones. But I don't find this to be like a super, you know, flavor bomb of any kind. Like, this is, to me, this is not a Penzance or Quiet Nights, and it's not a Pirate Cake. Obviously, it's not a Nightcap. It's not one of these flavor-heavy blends that just explodes in your mouth, and you're just like, oh my god, this is amazing. That is not what she said. Happen to know her, and she's a lady. Yeah, it's very smooth. I would compare this, or I wouldn't compare it to anything, but I would say that this, I would categorize this with blends like Stonehaven and Bijou, not in the flavor profiles. It's a lot of Kia, you know, but in that just very mature, dark, rich flavor that you just kind of sort of smoke contemplatively, you know, not for a burst of excitement. But to savor what's going on underneath. And I've said before, Bijou turned out not really to be my thing so far. I've only smoked it a few times, but so far it's not really my thing. You have to fight pretty hard to get the flavor, which I'm not excited about. I saw Renee's review, and he's exactly my thoughts exactly when I tried it. I saw his review, I don't know, a few weeks, maybe months, whatever, after I had tried mine, and I couldn't believe how I felt like, okay, it's not just me, because it was on the nose exactly how I felt about it. It was like, there's some interesting flavors there, but it's just, you know, and I could see why people like it, but it just wasn't really for me. This and Stonehaven are similar in that rich, deep flavor that you kind of have to look for, you know, that doesn't hit you in the face, that you just kind of find as you smoke. You come to naturally and slowly as you smoke it. But I feel like these are more my kinds of flavors. But hey, I love Latakia. I mean, I don't know. I don't think this is a Latakia bomb at all, but I would find it hard to believe that somebody who's not in Latakia would like this blend, because it's definitely a big part of it. On the other hand, I could see this being a gateway drug. I could see somebody getting really into this blend coming from more of an aged Virginia's kind of place and learning to love that hint of Latakia flavor. And then slowly introducing themselves to blends like Nightcap and like Vintage Syrian. I can see that. Well, we're over 20 minutes, so I guess I'll go ahead and be going. I do appreciate you hanging out with me on this first smoke, and there won't be many, but it'll be fun while it lasts. I'm probably gonna do this. This might be a once a year smoke for me, you know. Every year I can see how well it's aged in that time, and how, you know, see if that cube is doing anything. Who knows? It's still working its magic. So in the meantime, I hope that you also have something really interesting to smoke. I hope that you are constantly pushing those boundaries and trying to find new things. You know, you stumble on things that you don't really like. It's all part of the experience. And for me, finding something that's so-so is not far less exciting than finding something I really love. It's all kind of part of the journey, and it's all a rich experience, sort of worthy of being had. It's kind of the fun of pipe smoking. The more that you smoke, the more that you go out and you find blends, the more that you kind of familiarize yourself with blends of different types, I think the better you know yourself and how your own palate works. And knowledge of self is always the most important knowledge. So, thank you again for joining me. If you have a channel and you're out there, let me know. I would love to follow you. I'd love to see what you're smoking, what you're chooching on, as old Berg would say. And I hope to join you again soon for another smoke with all these new weird blends that I'm getting. So, until next time.